Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What experience made you believe in the paranormal?
Well, for me, it all started on Valentine's Day weekend in 2011. I had just gotten a telescope that Christmas and wanted to use it. We went on vacation in Wildwood, New Jersey for the weekend, and I brought it with me. It was bitterly cold, but I was stubborn, and my dad took me to the seawall there to look at stars. Well, we had been there for about half an hour. The streets were totally deserted and there was nothing around except this one crab on the beach. Anyways, I suddenly got shivers down my spine, and my dad and I both turned our heads at the same exact time to see a big glowing circle silently glide over our heads towards the ocean. We looked back at each other and asked, "Did you see that?" I never saw where it went. I still don't know what it was. It was easily the size of a fighter jet, and it was low, just passing over the rooftops. I tried to rationalize it, and so did my dad. He said it was a meteor. I sensationalized it a bit and said it was a secret military aircraft or something. In 2013, my grandfather passed away. He died of a heart attack. He was a Marine and a firefighter, so he'd inhaled a lot of nasty shit over the years. Anyways, we were pretty close. He took me out on a conspiracy trip I'll share if anyone asks, but it's not important to this story. So I biked up to his grave one day, and I'm crying my eyes out because I miss him. I finally calmed down after 20 minutes or so of sustained sobbing, and I decided to take a shortcut home through a school parking lot. Well, I stop for a drink of water, and all of a sudden I hear an airplane. A big one, a B-17, comes over the hill, does a perfect arc in front of me, and then just goes back the way it came. If that sounds improbable to you, you should have seen my face. Turns out it got lost on its way to an air show in my city that weekend. A few months after that, I'm at my grandmother's house. She was hit really hard by Grandpa's death. She almost didn't make it through the year. Well, she got a new camera, and she decided to take a picture of me as I'm on the couch browsing dank memes. She looks at the picture in shock. I ask her what's wrong, and she says that there was a white figure near me, like a human-shaped figure, made of pure light, sitting right next to me. Then the picture fucking deleted itself. So now I'm thoroughly convinced God is real. I have no interest in debating this. It's just my personal belief. About a year later, I'm walking up to the bus stop from school, and I look up and see this oval-shaped thing passing over at airliner altitude. The thing is, it looked invisible, like if you've ever seen one of those movies where something is invisible, but you can still see the outline of it. It was like that. I could see the clouds behind it, but it was there. I brush it off as one of those eye floaters or whatever. A perfectly elliptical eye floater, following a straight path. May 20th, 14. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I start exams the next day, typical school shit. All of a sudden I see police lights. No big deal. They drive up my street every now and then. A lot of old head, help I've fallen and I can't get up people in my neighborhood. Except it's super bright. Like right outside my window bright. And it was. It wasn't on the street. This flashing blue and red light was outside of my window, on the garage roof. My window borders the garage roof, obviously. It stayed there for a good 5 minutes and I was frozen in fear. So I just sat there like a moron. After this, I got really interested in the paranormal spooky shit. I'd also had those ever mysterious scratches you wake up with throughout my life. And I've heard 3 separate mystery booms, but none of them warrant their own story, really.
Tell us about the conspiracy trip with your grandpa.
Okay, so this was literally a month before Granddad died. He loved the woods and all that, hunting especially. So he took me up to Bucks County, Pennsylvania every now and then just to see all the cool places up there. A lot more than you might think. Well, one day we decided we were going to do something different. I had read about this cult based around Lake Nakamixon, with their buildings visible from the road. The Rosicrucians, if I remember right. Those particular buildings were supposed to be pyramids, so we headed out in Granddad's truck and drove for a good hour, trying to find these things, but I didn't remember the address. Then we found them. They were on a steep hill. So we're driving up, and all of a sudden I look to my right and see a big pagoda. Gray with a dark green roof. It literally looked like something out of China. A little further back in the woods, we could see big Greek-style columns sticking out and like an amphitheater or something. As we got to the top of the hill, the pyramids came into sight. There was a big 30-foot-tall one in front of a garden or something. I rolled down the window and heard some spooky-ass music playing too, so that didn't help. And we slowed down a lot to see them closer. There was another pyramid the same height further back, and then a big hedge blocked the view for a while. Granddad, the funny bastard, decides this is the time to scare the shit out of me and grabs my shoulder as I'm staring out the window. I almost went through the roof. Anyway, we kept driving, and there was a little half-completed pyramid, much smaller than the others, in the back all by itself. And then we drove down to the lake to get something to eat. I wish I could say we saw the men in black robes the legends all tell about. They must have been somewhere else that day. They're supposed to chase you away if you trespass, but those are just the rumors. I might upload the pictures I took later if I can find them. They're super creepy.
Be me, 12 years old. Home alone because grocery shopping is lame and Age of Empires is not. Me and dog Lucy hanging out in living room where the computer is. Scooby-Doo on the TV because it has always been about the spooks. House has always been kinda creepy. It's old, and my family has their own ghost stories associated with it. Spin-off story time. After great-grandma died, they say they brought a balloon back from her funeral. Balloon would always somehow float and wander upstairs to grandma's favorite chair until the balloon finally stopped floating. Would take balloon to different rooms. Back downstairs. Always found its way back. Another small story I'd hear, of the whole family being woken up to the sound of something destroying the kitchen. Sounded like pots and pans and dishes flying everywhere. Everyone comes downstairs. The kitchen's fine. Nothing happened. Spoopy stuff like that would happen, but very rarely. Back to me, kid who believes in ghosts and aliens and everything. Had seen what looked like an old woman before, and an old man too. Never really scared me. I was just a dumb kid who thought I could see ghosts and thought that was cool. Back to me with laser bear army destroying castles. Home alone. Probably a little on edge because nighttime. Home alone. And not super brave kid. Hear voice. Voice says my name from behind, raspy and low. Anon. Only says it once. In the present. When telling this story, I always tell people that I could convince myself that I was hearing things that night. I think I really could. That maybe it was the TV acting weird. Some strange sound from the basement. A groan in the pipes that sounded like my name. Anon. I could have been hearing things. I could tell myself that and believe it. But Lucy heard it too. Good girl. She stood up and walked to the hallway behind me, growling. She stops before going in. I finally turn around, scared shitless. Obviously. See nothing. The hallway is pitch black and I can't see to the end from this angle. Lucy growls. Don't know how long I sat there. Eventually I stood up, walked to Lucy. Could finally see all the way down the hallway. Not a goddamn thing. JPG. Grab Lucy's collar and push out to the front porch. Sit hugging Lucy until my parents and brother and sister get home. Stepdad checks the house and I feel lucky that I shared a room with my brother for the first time in my life. Don't hear voice again. End story. This isn't why I believe in the paranormal, because there is a perfectly logical explanation that's equally as creepy. That somebody was in my house who knew me, and who wasn't willing to reveal themselves with an angry dog there. Unend story. Fast forward 2 years. Friend of my mom's from across the street has been having issues his whole life. Has mental breaks from time to time. Does crazy shit. Met him quite a few times growing up. Had no idea. On and off meds like crazy. Finally snaps. House across the street is a crime scene for days. Killed his wife and daughter before offing himself. May have been killed by cops, honestly don't remember. Fast forward 10 more years. Remember the crazy guy who killed his family. Remember the spooky ghost voice. Ask Mom if she thinks it was possible that crazy neighbor might have been the one who said my name that night. Might have found an open window. Snuck in. Saw me. Anon. Mom doesn't say no. Continue to thank God, the universe, or whatever that we had Lucy. Best Goldie ever.
This just recently happened, the previous weekend. I'm not devout or superstitious by any means, as I grew up agnostic and not really caring. I've been very stressed about life problems recently. I'm especially stressed about work. I'm a sheriff trainee. On a stupid whim, I decide to go to a bar and get fucked up to help cope at around 1800. I drink to the point of blackout by myself in the farthest corner at the bar. I distinctly remember someone helping me to my car. I turn on the car and look at the clock to see how long I had been out. It was around 2200. And I begin to drive home, about 10 minutes away. My memory is extremely foggy, but I remember the person who helped me was in the passenger seat making small talk to keep me awake or sober. I'm just now realizing how odd it is that he didn't drive, since I was extremely inebriated. He said his name was Mike. He was Caucasian, around my height, 6 feet, dirty blonde hair, hazel eyes, spoke fluent English, and was around my age, late 20s. He was wearing a clean, pressed white Oxford shirt, gray slacks, and black dress shoes, which isn't unusual as the bar I went to is frequented by the county office workers for post-work drinks. My memory blacks out again while he is telling me about his work. I remember he said he's some sort of stress therapist for officers or military. I managed to make the drive to my home without killing anyone and pull into my dirt driveway. I wake up my girlfriend with my loud puking in the kitchen when I enter my house. She's pissed at me for coming home so late. I'm sobered up a bit at this point and tell her it shouldn't be past 22:30, as I had left a little bit after around 2200 hours. It's 400 hours. I check outside for Mike. No one is around, and my gym bag, which is usually in the trunk, is in my passenger seat. I check for other vehicle tracks or footprints and see a smaller set of wheel or tire tracks and footprints heading to them. I figure he just called a cab to get home. I spent the rest of the weekend with the worst hangover of my life. I come into work early 2 days after it happened and make small talk with another trainee and a corporal before academy training starts. My fellow trainee went fishing, and the corporal had an academy meeting to go to after going to church with his wife and kids. The corporal randomly says that the sermon that day was about being grateful to patron saints and appreciating them. Half jokingly, I ask if there's one for cops. The corporal says that he's pretty sure that the angel Michael is the patron saint of law enforcement. I guess I gasped or something because the corporal asked if I was okay. I say I'm fine and continue with the rest of the academy day. I speed home and look up Michael on Wikipedia, etc., and find out he is the patron saint of law enforcement. I'm not entirely sure what to think. A part of me wants to chalk it up to a random office-working bro helping out since it's the most plausible thing. But that doesn't explain the lost time I had, since I doubt I was driving around for 3 hours.
Go on a family trip to Ohio when a kid. Be taken to a family friend's house. The house was built in the 1800s. Hang out for a while, fish. Later on, parents are drinking and bullshitting. Ask to go inside and watch TV. Got into the room and sit down. There's a room with a vanity and dolls on it, and other things. Watching Looney Tunes. Feel something watching me. Turn to the room. Nothing. Watch TV for a longer time, and the feeling of being watched gets stronger. Turn to the room. Woman in an 1800s dress floats into the doorway, turns to me and has black holes for eyes, stays for a sec, turns and flies through the wall. I freak out and run outside saying I saw a ghost. Family believed me, and family friend says that it's her great-great-grandma and she likes visitors.
I already believed in the paranormal, but I just came back from a holiday with my girlfriend, and we experienced what was the most undeniable proof of something supernatural. Though whether it was ghost, fairy, or telekinesis, I don't know. I go to an extremely secluded cottage on a Scottish island, literally the arse end of nowhere. I grew up in the country, but I wouldn't have believed there were places this out of the way left in Britain. The place is at least 200 years old, rustic. Not even any paving stones or gravel around it, just ancient, overgrown trees. The wildlife is amazing. Every time you look out, there are red squirrels and pheasants hanging around. The place is full of mismatched furniture. A lot of it should have been junked. There are huge, creepy mirrors everywhere. My girlfriend collects mirrors from supposedly haunted locations, but she can't look in this massive one in the main room. We joke about how it's haunted, of course. It seems like a location in a spooky point-and-click game. If you've played The Lost Crown, it's pretty close. There's a bench outside that the owners have propped up this piece of tree that looks like a man's legs and torso, like it's sitting there. It makes me shudder when I see it. I call it Johnny Knockknees. It looks like a huge mandrake root. I like the place. My girlfriend, not so much. The first couple of nights, she has a recurring dream about someone with a white mask creeping about downstairs. My girlfriend comes into the room on the third night and asks if I moved the jug in the bathroom, a plastic measuring jug that was hooked beneath the sink. It was in the bath, and she hadn't done it. Neither had I. I wasn't really bothered. Maybe she'd moved it and forgotten. We talk about it for a minute in the main room, then both go into the kitchen for something. The bathroom opens onto the kitchen. She practically turns pale and points into the bathroom. The jug that we had left in the bath is now upside down in the sink. It freaks me out pretty bad, but she's worse. We brush our teeth in the kitchen and go to bed. We leave the jug as it was. We get up in the morning, and my girlfriend asks what way up the jug had been. It's now the right way up. The only way to get downstairs is this noisy, rusty spiral staircase. If one of us had been sleepwalking or taking the piss, it would have woken the other one up. I put it on top of the toilet. I leave and look back in. The jug is now hanging back on its hook under the sink. We go out for the day, killing time basically. I want to leave altogether, but we stay. I hate the thought of going back to the cottage now. We go back. The jug is still hanging there. We sat in the living room for a bit. I go back through to the kitchen. My girlfriend never left the living room. The jug is under the toilet now. I'd noticed this mad carving of a little man in the kitchen. I don't even want to acknowledge it out loud. We go to bed, now too freaked out. In the morning, I think of the jug and imagine it in this spot in the kitchen very clearly. I go downstairs. My girlfriend comes out of the kitchen and points. The jug is exactly where I pictured it, like precisely facing the same way. We leave on schedule a few hours later. I'm glad to be gone, though it still disturbed my sleep last night. That thing moved at least 6 times, and no one was moving it. I'm open to people's experiences, but I still assume there's always a rational explanation to the stories. There's no standard physical explanation of how this happened, though.
Kiwi who loves hiking. I fucking love the outdoors. Doing the Nelson Lakes hike down south. A good 10 days or so in the bush. As always, all the toilets are portables with shit everywhere. Mosquitoes, etc. About 7 days in, I'm on the loo at night. Had gotten sick from drinking some stream water that must have been polluted or something. Suddenly I hear a massive rumbling. A few seconds later the loo starts shaking. Scared me, but it's expected as avalanches are not that rare around this time of year. Note: New Zealand does not have any mammal predators except for stoats, boar, very small game. Get out after my shit and have a look with the flashlight to see if anything struck near me. I was quite high up. Massive tracks, everywhere around in the snow and scrub. In the 45 or so minutes I was shitting my brains out. At least something made that noise and was shaking the loo. Scared the hell out of me, and I ran back into the hut, grabbed my knife and stayed awake all night clutching it. To this day, I never go tramping alone again.
Studio Wagie here. I don't do amplifier work alone at night. Worked at a large recording studio built in the basement of a mansion. I don't mean a project studio. I mean nicer than most professional studios. Only with a house built above it, picture related. Given the fact that it is in a basement, technically, the only windows are the sliding glass doors down the hall leading to the fountains. With that said, it's easy to lose track of time there, which can be spooky. Go in the morning, and the next time you step out, it's totally black outside. Anyway, I've had only 2 weird things happen there, even though weird vibes are common. We'll share them in next post. I'll preface this by saying silence is completely terrifying. In controlled acoustic environments, it's easy to get really mentally fucked with since you can't place anything. Each side of the control room has double soundproofed doors. It didn't take long for me to make it a habit to have every door opened and all lights on while mixing. If someone were walking around, you couldn't hear it if doors were closed, and that sketched me out. Late night mixing. Get phone call from coworker. He's worked there for about 5 years longer than I. Answer it and head to the door. Outer door was opened. Inner door was closed. I open the inner door. Outer door slams in my face loudly. Scream, what the fuck? Coworker says door slammed on you, didn't it? Yup. Yeah. I learned it's best to keep the doors closed late at night. Can chalk it up to air pressure pulling it closed, but they are big all wooden doors, and I don't think that could have done it. Plus it was opened way too wide to do that. Second story coming up. This one is from my coworker. Friend working again late at night. About 11 or 12, hears knock on studio door. Leading outside. What the fuck's lightly and opens the door. Nobody there. From the driveway, you go down a somewhat narrow set of stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs is the door to the studio. Goes to the top of the stairs and opens the gate. Doesn't see anyone or any new cars. Bad vibes. Goes back to the studio and texts the owner asking if he's awake. He is. Tells owner the story. He tells him to come up and they can check the cameras. There is a camera above the studio door facing the top of stairs, recording whoever comes in. Watching the camera. Black figure. Not like dressed in all black or see through a spooky black ghost, but more like a three-dimensional shadow. A moving silhouette. Opens the gate and walks downstairs slowly. Buttholes tightening. No activity for 30 seconds. The next thing you see is coworker walking up and opening the gate to look around. Black figure went down. Never went back up. A group watching the camera feed shat one massive collective brick. Still work there, but never forget. Keep my gun with me at all times, if not for ghost removal, for self-end after I can't handle some shit happening to me.
Yeah. I think a psycho neighbor is creepier than a ghost or voice. Ghosts might not want to kill you, but a neighbor definitely does. Okay, I've had a lot of experiences with the paranormal. Here's one of them. Be me about 7 or 8 years old. I always kept my bedroom door open because when I was 2, an apparition materialized out of my wall and was trapped with it. Anyways, I wake up and see a dark figure in the middle of my room. Nothing unusual for me, so I do the close your eyes and open them to see if it's still there thing. When I open my eyes, it's still there but moved to a different spot, so I do it again and again, but it keeps moving around the room. Finally, I close my eyes really hard and open them. The figure is gone. I look around the room to see if it moved somewhere. I look up at the head of my bed. It's standing over me. I freak out and start screaming. Then I look at the doorway. There's this person standing there. It looked like a hunched-over figure with ragged clothes and a large hooked nose. It just slowly holds up a finger and points at me. I close my eyes. My mom comes into the room, flips the light on, and everything is normal again. I'm pretty sure it was sleep paralysis or something similar. However, I have seen objects move around my house on their own. So at the same time, I have no idea what I saw.
Honestly, I was about 5. My dad was a construction worker. Our garage was sort of a second basement, so it was packed full of tools, projects, and his truck. There was absolutely no way to get in from the front gate, so you had to use the back door. A quick Microsoft Paint of my house's layout shows the general design, so you can understand why this is so impossible to have been done. Pick related. Anyway, I was a kid and wanted to play with my toys on our porch. I took some outside and went to play with them. After a few minutes though in the summer heat, I got hot and wanted to get some milk. I turned to go to the back door, leading into the house. As you can see, the door to the house and the door to the garage are literally kitty corner from each other. When standing in the alcove between the two doors, It is literally impossible to be passed by someone without them asking you to move. I opened the door to our kitchen. That's the immediate room it entered to, when I noticed a woman standing in the garage. She was tall, about 6.5 feet, perfect physique, long, vibrant golden hair with a single wave down its length, piercing crystal blue eyes, a radiant smile, and a purple dress that covered her shoulders, the tips of her arms, and down to her knees. She had no shoes or socks on, odd for being a garage, and her hands were entwined together at the fingers at her front as they hung down in a relaxed position. She smiled and took in a deep, yet oddly hasted breath. I stood still, turned to see inside the house, and I asked, "Mom, who's in the garage?" When I looked back, she was gone. My mom and dad freaked, asking if I was hurt and if I felt in danger. I said I wasn't and wanted to know if she was a friend. My dad asked what she looked like, and I told him. Both my parents sort of lost their stature and looked as if a reality shock hit them. Years later, when I matured, I heard them talking about it. They were talking to a couple they had invited over for dinner. I was bored and eavesdropped on them. During the conversation, my dad said that when he was a boy he had seen the exact same woman. He felt like she was a guardian angel, and whenever he was in combat, Persian Gulf War, his mind would snap back to her, and he somehow found the strength to carry on. He felt that she was a protector of sorts, and that if I had seen her too, it was proof that this was all real. Since that day, I've kept an open mind, and over the years I've witnessed far too much that I can't explain. While I don't believe in 100% of everything, I'm sure at least a good portion holds some truth behind it.
I've had multiple experiences throughout my life, but I have to sleep, so I'll just post the most recent one. Even Spooky accused it's the first in a long time. Just last week, finished rehearsing with the band, drummer drives me home, circa 10:20 p.m. There's roadwork, just dropped me off nearby, just about 200 metres from my apartment. Passing an old school building, PIC related. School is sorta like late high school, 16 to 19 years old for you Americans. Closed for the day. Look shortly at school. Something catches my eye. One window is lit. See tall, thin, humanoid, shadowy figure. Its head reaches up to the top of the window. I've seen people there before in daytime. They reach just halfway to window's top. Nope, feeling, hurry home. Upon entering the apartment, see girlfriend in bed. She's from town, I'm not. Ask if there's any spooky stories from the school. She tells a local story about a teacher some 30 to 40 years ago who died while being at home sick. He was very passionate about his work. Like, he would always come in super early and leave really late. People who went there and janitors reporting lights turning on by themselves, things being moved, windows opened, etc. I get the chills. Tell girlfriend what I just saw. We both get uncomfortably spooked. Can't sleep that night just trying to rationalise it. Eventually fall asleep because I fail to. Here's why. I often go there at night to smoke, and the cleaning janitors usually leave at about 8 p.m, then lock all the gates. Sorry if this was drawn out. It's my first real Greentext story.
I'm an atheist and I don't believe in the supernatural, but one summer a few years ago made me really question it. Be a 4chan guy, but don't browse many boards. I decided to check out /x/one night during Memorial Day weekend because I'm interested by spooky things. I read a thread about summoning a succubus. Interesting, but obviously I don't believe it. That night when I closed my eyes, I saw the perfect lifelike image of a beautiful older woman, late 40s, early 50s, in lingerie. I think what the fuck, but shrug it off as imagination. I read more /x/threads as the summer goes on, which spooks me even more. I see The Conjuring, and it doesn't help the spookiness, judge me. I start seeing movement in the corner of my eye around my apartment all the time, every single day. I start hearing noises at night, like thumps and clicks. The worst was this loud thump that I would hear in my room about 1 minute after I turned off my lamp and rolled over to go to sleep. Every single night without fail, no matter what time I went to bed. I start feeling like I'm being watched, and the hairs on my neck, arms, and legs basically stand up all the time when I'm home. I start feeling burning on my skin, along with the tingling while lying in bed awake. I start seeing evil-looking faces when I close my eyes at night, some more vivid than others. One night I woke up to my knee, which had been bent while laying on my back, violently being thrust to the side. This happens twice more, and many nights as I fell asleep, my leg occasionally jerked back as if something pulled it. I had to sleep with the lights on by August, and many nights I wouldn't be able to fall asleep until sunrise. I go to an anime convention, judge me, and share a room with a friend. There were 3 other people, but they're not important. I was in a hotel bed, and he was on the pull-out couch that was behind a wall, so he couldn't see me. The first night we all talk and joke around until everyone falls asleep except for him, since he has a difficulty falling asleep in general. From now on is his perspective and is exactly how he described it. He's watching League of Legends streams on his phone, judge him, with earbuds in, but he hears talking in the hotel room. He pulled them out since he thought someone had woken up, but the room was silent. He shrugs and puts the earbuds back in to keep watching the stream. He hears talking again. He pulls out his earbuds, but the room once again is silent. He's kind of uneasy at that point, so he puts his earbuds back in, waits, and listens. As soon as he heard a voice, he pulled out his earbuds immediately, and that time the voice didn't stop. He described it as my voice, but not my voice. He could tell it was me, but it was rough, growly, and guttural, and it was speaking words he could not understand. They were definitely clear words and not mumbling, but in a language he thought sounded like Latin. He called my name several times, but the voice kept on speaking and no one else roused. This went on for a minute or so longer, and it stopped for the rest of the night. He was horrified and barely slept that night. He tells me the story the next morning, and he looks shaken up by it. He is one of my best friends, and while he has been known to embellish stories, he would never joke about something like that. I am obviously mortified since I had told no one about what I had been experiencing for fear of sounding insane. However, once I get back home from the con, I stop noticing everything I had noticed all summer. Things return to normal and I sleep easily again. I haven't noticed anything for about 2 years. It must have been my anxiety.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.